Alrighty, we're back. Oh no, we're RGB. Oh my god, what a horrible start, James.
You every time. I think we could put together a whole episode of
A
just you
blooper.
at the start of every episode. I actually think we should do that. But as if you're watching, you need to put together
Let me try
a
again.
full clip of AJ starting off the Card Authority episode as he is about to do. Take it away, AJ.
Card Authority, episode 54, starting fresh as always. It's been a big couple of weeks in cards.
It has.
Episode 54. I feel like it's just flows off the tongue now. Jenks, welcome back.
Thank you. Good to be back in the country. Obviously, we did that short little video a couple of weeks ago, that live
Yep,
stream 2 or 3 weeks ago now. But Butters got to sit in my seat
he
whilst I
did.
was away and did a podcast with you. So it's very, very nice to be back, absolutely. And a lot to discuss. It feels like this is going to be one of the biggest episodes in a long time in terms of the amount of
There's a bit going on.
content and conversations going on. Big hello to Justin Cranston, Jimmy Lawson, Bernie.
Yep.
AJ1 Brownless radio career, says
Yeah.
Cranston.
Yeah, I can probably. I can't really argue with that. Yeah, it's been a big couple of weeks as we've spoken, and obviously you were jet setting as you always are, Janks. G'day, Jax. Um, Brilliance, third time with Select. It's been a little bit of a mixed result in the past when they go things for the third time, but fair to say it doesn't get much closer than a home run with a release.
Probably made changes which are pretty smart changes to it. More changes than additions, I suppose, which is one of those things where in the past, card companies and Select especially as well have continued, when they continue with a brand, as they continue the release, so they actually add to it. So this one, it felt like they've made changes that are really smart changes, obviously with what's happened, and we'll get into the crux of it shortly. But
Yeah, you actually made me just think of something there, which I'll bring it right while I
yeah,
remember it. We talk about changes. There's
yeah,
been a trend, and whether that's Prestige or Series 2 products, where actually Selective look to expand the offering.
that's what I mean. Yeah.
They've actually reduced the boxes this time from 4,000 to two and a
Well, it's
half.
interesting. The volume of boxes have gone down, but the rarity of the cards has gone up.
Correct. Yep.
In terms of like they're more rare. So the print number's gone down, where you had all those base cards at 50, and now gone to 35. Let's just revisit it in context quickly. Obviously, third time around for Brilliance. First time around came out in 2020 off the back of Supremacy in 2019. Supremacy was a first of its kind release. It really started to take trading cards outside of the standard type of print into more of a highly collectible memorabilia, higher quality.
Premier release.
Yeah, a much more premium thing with
Premium, yeah.
physical aesthetics that didn't exist beforehand, right? Or that weren't being done in AFL cards. Then Brilliance comes out. It comes over the top. It changes the model entirely again. An even thicker card, fully encased, metallic border, all this sort of stuff, but in a single card release, which didn't exist obviously in AFL cards. So extremely well received in 2020.
The price point was interesting too. $150 back then.
Yeah.
You just couldn't go wrong.
That's right. That's right. But also at the time back then is the value of cards due to demand was still on the increase. So it wasn't quite where it is now, where it was back then. So even at that point in time, demand wasn't quite outstripping supply at the time. And as a result, you didn't, you know, there was people still concerned that how can I be spending $150 on a single card? Obviously, you know, you fast forward 3-4 years and things have changed dramatically, and our understanding of the market has changed dramatically. But that release was cards numbered to 50. There was a couple of SIGs in that one. Yeah, that was the original landscape style signatures.
four.
Originally, there was 4 SIGs in that one. Was a huge success for people. People physically loved the cards. Collectors loved it. First release that external flippers really got on board with, and there was a huge volume available on the secondary market at inflated prices. Breakers did well with it. Everyone did really well. Really premium product. Fantastic. 2 years later, they released the second incarnation of that release, and the addition to that, so they added to it, was a gold hit to 35 from each team, one from each
And
team,
they doubled the
and
cards
they
for the
doubled.
base.
So they doubled the amount of base cards. It went from 2 base cards to 4 base cards.
Yep.
Plus they added the golds, and they had 4 SIGs still.
4-6, yep.
Yeah, added the gold cards.
Oh,
Or was it 6 SIGs?
Geelong, Brisbane, Carlton, Richmond, North Melbourne.
I think it was 6.
It was 6.
Okay, so I think did West Coast have one as well? No.
No.
So 6 SIGs, whatever it was, 5 or 6 SIGs, we can't remember exactly. But the gold was the big add-on and bonus to what was there previously in terms of value. Print run obviously got increased. Well done, fantastic. Release was really well received. And then we saw obviously an announcement for Brilliant come out this time around. I think everyone was wondering, okay, what's happening here? Is it the same Brilliant? Is it going to be 4 base cards, all this sort of stuff? Lo and behold, base cards to 50, gone. Print run reduced. Base cards now numbered to 35 gold, in line with what the massive hits were last time. Incredible value offering. Everyone expected this was going to be hot. It's fair to say it came out very, very hot.
So while you take a drink, and I'm going to hit it right, I'm going to hit you right between the eyes, James.
Yeah.
How do you think a release like Brilliance, does it play into the narrative that people are saying there are too many short print cards, it devalues the other the short print cards, etc., etc.? Does something like this hurt or hinder previous Brilliances, previous case hits?
Really good
Or
question, yeah.
does it just redefine that people want short print cards and are thirsty for things that are a little
It's
bit
probably,
harder
probably
to
a bit of
chase?
both. Like, I don't want to discount any sort of narrative that exists, and people are obviously entitled to opinions.
Of course.
I like to have my opinion, you like to have yours, but of course we are very, very data driven here as well. So when we talk about things, we try and talk about it based on, fact and factual based and data based on what's really happening, as opposed to what people might see happening in a real isolated way with a particular card or player or team or release. Whereas we're looking at it, both at a micro level as well as at a broader level of how it fits into the overall marketplace for cards. I think we are beyond that point about concern of dilution of these type of cards, because the participation rate in the hobby is so much higher than what it's been in the past, and therefore there's more people to go around. And I think we've probably seen it a lot with this release. I think there was an expectation that people had, was that, oh, I'm not going to buy these number to 35s early on, or even in week 2 or week 3, because, it's just going to dilute the market and the price of them is just going to absolutely crash. Well, that's all good and proper, but if the cards don't exist and the people that want the cards outnumber what's actually available on the market in the print run, then it actually has the opposite effect. And we're seeing that play out in real time with this release. There's always going to be teams and particular players, but more so a few of those teams, where the collector base is so small that the ceiling price is really capped, and there can be an expectation that they're going to drop down in price, and that they're going to come off. But as we've talked about selling waves before, a new release comes out, people are excited. A combination of shiny new thing and also people just wanting to get their sets done really quickly.
Yep.
Prices open up super hot. We expect that to happen.
As I always do.
Yeah, then there's becomes the first wave, the first selling wave. It always happens. The wave comes. There's a quick little sell-off, usually a few days after release, where it starts to become a race. One person drops the price of something, that triggers others to drop it. They all drop it. Cards start to sell. Quite often we get then a second selling wave come in. I don't think we see that. We've seen that, or we're going to see that in this release, because it's so limited. The volume of product to hit market's already all hit.
Can I give a practical example of what you're talking about?
Yeah.
So there's a Richmond collectors group, and we were all talking about the Trent Cotchin card.
Yeah.
And I initially thought the card would probably come out about $700, $800. And there was a moment about 6 or 7 days in where there were a few floating around $600.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, oh, that's a bit cheap. Should we buy? And then about 3 days later, there were a few kicking around at like $550, $525. And there was probably 5 or 6 of them. and the chat group started talking about it. I kid you not, Connor the Compton and I were mentioning that's cheap. They're not going to get any cheaper.
Yeah.
The next morning, they were all gone.
And that's what
And
happens.
now suddenly that floor that was 500, 525,
Well, it's gone.
it's gone.
Yeah, it's gone.
It's gone.
And the
You
same
know,
happens. And I think there is astute collectors in every team, like I suppose, or in every type of collector. There's people, and the reality is, so that first selling wave came in, and people who had maybe a better understanding of the marketplace, and especially trying to compare these cards versus other cards at the same rarity levels, at the same player levels, at the same quality levels and whatnot, people realised what was undervalued in that dumping wave, and a lot of smart money moved in and bought it all up. And that's exactly what's happened. And again, I would assume it's the same probably for about 12 or 13 teams at the moment,
Yep.
all in that same boat. And St Kilda's very similar. A good barometer for me is always looking at volume and depth on eBay. You know, eBay, the search string, 2024 select brilliance at St Kilda,
Yep.
which is a general search string that I would do for the cards that I want. There's 7 cards available. That's it in total. 3 of them or 4 of them are the lockets, which are $1,200+. So it has a very particular market and a niche market of a lower level of, like, a smaller amount of people that can spend that sort of money.
Yep.
So that's expected. But yeah, everything else, there's nothing left. And I've done it. As soon, I was targeting certain prices. As soon as the prices fell below my expected prices, I started to buy it all up
Yep.
straight away. So, I've picked up a number of steals and a number of Jack Sinclair golds at really, really good prices, which, one, they're just not possible to achieve anymore. And two,
Cards just
people
disappear.
in the future, everyone, once this catches up, the thing is going to be like, oh my God, I can't believe I was getting those cards for $300 or $350. That's crazy.
Yep.
Like, I know myself, I have the Lenny Hazes from 2022, who was the St Kilda one. I went hard on it at the time because I wanted them. I've got a bunch of them. Like, I think I posted a photo of probably 7 or 8 of them a couple of years ago. I have a bunch of them. I literally have not seen one of those for sale for well over a year. Probably since 6 months into release, they disappeared. And at the point they disappeared, they were already selling for $200 or $300 more than what the going rate was when I bought them.
Well, forget about Lenny Hayes. We see cards pop up all the time. How many of the number to 35s from last year do we see of any team?
Yeah.
I saw an Adelaide one the other day that was in a repack.
You just don't see them. Yeah.
They just don't appear.
And that's what people forget. And people get caught up early in the release. But then, again, we talked about narratives. There's so many competing narratives constantly going on. And there's so many people who are really vocal within the card community, which is great. I think it's a fantastic
Absolutely.
thing. And
Yeah.
I value everyone's opinion. Although I don't agree with a lot of people's opinions, I still value the contribution that they're making to the discourse of trading
We
cards.
want people passionate.
We want people
Yeah.
passionate and want people talking. But there's absolutely that same thing, and this is the age-old thing. It's not exclusive to recent time periods or anything, where you will get voices who voice very strong opinions that the value of cards is dropping, it's gonna crash, it's coming, people, don't buy, don't buy, don't buy. And people get caught up in that movement, and then the next thing you know, they've missed out, and then actually start to form a bit of resentment towards the hobby itself as well. So, people just need to be mindful.
And
This
just
type of release is specialized. It's not a 7,000 box release.
yeah, and let me just stress, we're not saying that every card is going to the moon.
No.
It doesn't, there are always going to be subsets, whether it's brilliance or whatever. There's going to be subsets, there's going to be players, there's going to be teams that don't command the same values as others.
Yeah.
But again, we've told this story a million times of Supremacy 21. We didn't think booklets would go higher than 1,500. Out the gate, 2,000, 2,500, 3,000.
Yeah, the whole hobby
The whole
lifted.
And now people are sitting there and buying or trading cards with $1,000 trade value or $500 trade value.
Yeah.
Like it's just the norm.
So, but I remember, I swear we spoke about this recently. Remember I said to you, actually, maybe it wasn't you. I was speaking to someone. I was like, in 2018, 2019, when I was involved in footy cards, spending $500 on a card was literally something you would do once a year, and it would be to pick up that Hall of Fame SIG or that Captain SIG that came up at the right price, and you'd pull the trigger at $500, $600, $800. Spending, as a collector of any team, spending $1,000 or more on a single card, that was like huge. That was a huge
Huge.
thing
Yep.
amongst the entire community. When a sale like that took place, it was talked about. There was notoriety around it.
Yep.
These days, there are cards, multi-$1,000 cards or $1,000 cards, and certainly lots of cards, 500, 300, 400, 500, 800, whatever it is, every single day transacting.
Yep.
Every single day, and whether that's Facebook, eBay, whatever it is, they are transacting all day, every day. So again, like as we've harped on about in the past, and contrary to some other people's opinions, which are based probably more on emotion and not metrics and data points, more and more people continue to participate in the hobby, and on an individual basis, each of those people continue to spend more and more money.
Sure.
They spend more and more money on individual cards. They spend more and more money on buying more cards because there's more cards available. More and more money gets spent on breaks all over the place and collectively in the market.
eBay,
I'm not talking, and
everything.
I'm not talking about RGV or us or
Yeah, it's
any of our
across the
network.
board.
I'm talking
Yep.
about across the board. Much more money is getting spent on a daily basis, and it continues to grow than what there's been in the past. The liquidity, there's more liquid and more money constantly transacting in trading cards now than there has ever been before. And again, people can pick off isolated incidents where a car price may have dropped or whatever it is, but at the same time, there's one or more other things that have gone way up and completely offset that as well. So all indicators are the market's super, super healthy. This release coming out this early in the year, completely demonstrates.
timing.
Yeah, it totally demonstrates. It demonstrates how strong the market is.
Yep.
Yeah.
A couple of questions. Shale Wall said that he's done more trading this Brilliance release than buying. Out of 5 Hawks cards, he only purchased 1 card. That's great.
Fantastic.
Good to hear trading still alive and
Yeah.
well. And I guess that's something we promote through Good Vibes. Well, really any group, but obviously Good Vibes we're closely associated with. We want to encourage trading. They're trading cards.
Yeah.
And obviously, as long as you do it in a safe method with, vouchers or people or in a network that you're comfortable with, we can't recommend trading enough.
Yeah.
It's a key foundation of trading cards.
Justin Cranston's got an interesting one here. I actually would have preferred the Palladiums.
I think that's a troll to you.
being an auto and scrap the captain coach. Some clubs may never see a captain coach. Cough, cough, Saints. Well, I don't know if they'll do Brilliance again, but certainly 2024 and 2025.
It's going to be back-to-back
My
flags.
commitment is I will make select in 2026, release the St Kilda dual premiership card. That's from 2024 and 2025. But on a serious note, I think one thing with Brilliance is, to me, the golds, even being numbered 10 higher per unit, are more appealing than the Palladiums numbered to 25.
Look, I think
I think that's just a personal preference thing.
Look, I, without going too much into the data about it, and I spoke about it briefly when it first came out, the Palladiums are a beautiful looking card. I probably would have liked them to be numbered slightly differently to what the Supremacy Rookie 25s would have been. I feel like there's too much of a like for like with player and numbering.
Yeah.
And I think the market took a while to work out how to price them.
Do you think the market effectively capped the price on those cards because of comparisons to the rookies?
Early, I think they were too high,
Yeah.
and then they came back into line
They
because
certainly started. Everything started,
super high.
Yeah, so we obviously do forecasting ranges for every single release. When did this came out? It opened about 30% to 50% higher than where we thought it would straight off the bat.
Yep.
So our expectation was that prices would pare back to a level even before a dump would happen.
Yep.
The prices probably sustained a bit longer than we thought they would first up. When they've pared back now, and now they're probably starting to push back above the range. Some of the cards that you just can't get anymore, but they're right in the range, and this comes back to that conversation of at $200 a box and $250 a box retail.
Yeah, you can't go wrong.
Yeah, this was an incredible value proposition and a huge reward to SEC members as well.
Kane asked a question, blah, 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 blah. Where do we think those optimum packets have come from, Select? I, I don't know, Jenks. Was it under your desk or?
So basically, what we do is we buy lots of single cards back off people, including
Don't
base
get us in
cards,
trouble.
and we keep all these old packets we've got. And we just repack them and sell them out. Nah, I would presume that
I'm going to.
such has happened in the past. So just so you know, in the past, guys,
We're going to get slapped.
Select has done things at different points in the year where they have brought back out old product that they may have been holding or returns or whatever it may be for a number of different reasons. Could be stock coming back from AFL archives. It could be their own archival stock, all sorts of stuff. In the past, they used to even do these treasure chest things where so you wouldn't even know what you're getting, but 10 random boxes that Select had floating around, and you could buy this treasure chest thing and you'd get it, and it would come with all these series 2s and all sorts of stuff. So with this in particular, I'd assume Select has boxes, loose boxes, open boxes, maybe potentially even some cases of it, whatever it is.
Well, my guess is probably around that time. Well, I think around that time was probably also when they finished their arrangement with their official distributor.
Yeah.
So it could have been some stock that came back from there.
Yeah.
Could have been, the treasure chest. They need to keep certain stock levels for, I guess, licensing, repairs, QA, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Short answer is I don't know, but it's Jenks' fault.
It seems to be a bit of it popping up. It's not inconsistent, right? Some pops up, then it disappears and sold out.
Some hobby was showing up as well.
Oh, was it? There
Yeah.
you go. Okay, so it looks like different stuff. So obviously, if you're a keen collector, keen buyer, ripper, you just want to pack some cards, keep an eye out on Select's website.
Yep.
And see what pops up that tickles your fancy.
Justin say maybe some old Amazon returns, maybe.
Yeah,
could be.
They could have been sitting in their warehouse for a while.
Yep.
Asher, I honestly believe the golds are the best looking cards Select has ever produced. I love them, he says. I'm a massive fan of them.
I am too. It was a great design, great idea.
They're certainly up there. I still think, for me, nothing tops Supremacy booklets. They are the creme de la creme of AFL cards. But Brilliance in general are amazing. The golds, when they first came out last in 2022, they're amazing. Amazing cards. Number to 35, let's not kid ourselves here. I'll just put it out there now. Anyone who doesn't think any half-decent team or player in the future, let's call it in 3 to 5 years, when you won't even dream of finding one of these cards available, but if somehow one came to market, I can't see how you're not looking at minimum $1,000+ at the bare minimum, even if it's Jack Sinclair from St Kilda. They are numbered to 35. They are ultra premium. If a future collector comes in and they only wanted to get super premium cards, that's going to be right at the top of the list, in my opinion.
I don't know if I agree with that.
I do.
I agree with the logic.
Agree with myself.
Of course you did. I don't know if I necessarily agree with the pricing, but I agree fundamentally what you're saying. Cobbo is asking, do we think it's devalued previous golds? We just talked about that, so thanks for tuning into the whole show.
I don't think so. I think
Don't think so.
I think temporarily it may look like it has, but I think long term and medium term, absolutely
It's not
not.
gonna
I
be
think
around.
what's going to happen is the ones that you can get for 400 now, you've been able to get to for 400, whereas in 2022 the player from your team was actually 600 to 800. What's going to happen is these current ones are going to lift to those prices very quickly.
They're just not going to
if
be
they
around.
haven't already. Yeah. Because as much as people think it's diluted, it's not. They're still just as rare.
Yeah.
Another
question there that just went off my screen there. Lee Brown, what do we think about the latest Fnatic rumors? I had a couple of screenshots sent to me today from different sources. I mean, honestly, Lee, for 3 years, I reckon we've been hearing about Fanatics taking over.
4 years. So since 2021, pretty much at this exact time of the year, every year, I don't know why it's this time of the year, the same rumors and conversations seem to appear out of nowhere. And generally, obviously I get bailed up as
Have you sold Select to Fanatics?
But I get bailed up a lot. Every time these rumors come out, I start getting messages from all different people.
Because you weren't Select.
And historically, it's the same people that hear the same thing over and over. But now I'm getting it from a few more people because there's a whole these new collectors in the hobby as well that are getting excited about hearing news and the scoops and stuff like that. As far as I'm concerned, my position remains the same. as 2021, where people clearly told me, take it to the bank. Select's lost the license. It's going to be Fanatics, Topps, Leaf, and every other 17 million card companies in the world. Match Attack's version of Supremacy's coming.
I
All this
remember the
stuff.
take it to the
Yeah.
bank one. That
But
was good.
yeah, so there was a lot of take it to the bank. It's happening. It's happening. And then there was a lot of didn't happen. And then there was a lot of take
Next
it to
year.
the bank in 2022. And then even in 2023, people were like, no, that's over. No, that's done. That's it. After Series 2 comes out, it's gone. It's going. It's fair to say, I take it all with a grain of salt. My expectation is Select is killing it. They've had a massive 3-4 years, both not just at a financial level, which we can see obviously from an outsider's perspective,
Hobby level.
but at a hobby level, more cards, higher quality cards, more people involved in cards, ticks all the boxes. As a licensee, it feels like it ticks all the boxes.
Yep.
Why would it just change for the sake of changing?
Cranston says that he believes when you were in the USA, you were over there buying Fanatics. Is this true?
I wasn't doing that, but I'll tell you what, I stayed in a hotel that was a few doors down from this sick card store in Santa Monica, Los Angeles. I can't remember what it was called. I did take a photo because my memory is really bad. And geez, I was like, wow, our story is so shit compared to this place. It was beautiful.
I think that was about the time we were getting robbed. So Lee Brown reckons dollars are why. Maybe Lee. Look, we're
No, it's not happening. I don't know,
just
Lee.
don't
Like,
see it
again, the same thing's been floated for 3-4 years now of the American big dogs and the Europeans are going to come in with like $772 million to buy
just too small for
to
them.
buy
They just don't
a
care.
football license that sells $20 million worth of product a year.
yeah,
It doesn't stack up.
which they give a third of it to
And
the
for the
AFL.
sake of quality, in terms of purely as a collector here, and not based on the commerce of it, because to be honest with you, if a big international card company came in from a commerce perspective, everyone will be licking their lips thinking, wow, they're going to come and overproduce huge volumes of cards and we're all going to sell more and more shit to people. So from a collector's standpoint, I really probably wouldn't want to see a Panini or a Fanatics or someone like that butcher what is a very specific niche collector's market and card hobby for AFL cards in particular. And we talk about this, and I talk about this externally with people when they ask me, like, oh, what are you doing these days in business and stuff? And when I tell them, like, oh, yeah, footy cards is a huge part of what we do, they can't seem to believe it. And I'm like, no, you don't understand. It's this domestic market here for footy cards. It's unique on its own to every other type of card and type of card collecting, and it's got to do with fanaticism around teams, not just players, about how our market works, so many different attributes to it. So yeah, I think things are in a good place. I'd like to see that continue,
But the short answer
and I
is
expect it to continue.
we don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe you're right, Lee. Maybe you're a genius.
Topps Chrome Cricket release, we did see that.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
obviously that's like basically an unlicensed release where they have done some SIGs and autos and short print cards of retired cricket players with no branding or anything like that. Good release. Didn't look like there was a lot of extracted value from the product. The checklist was a bit iffy, but looked good though. Looked good. Sold out really quick.
Yeah.
That would kill Master Collectors 101. Yeah, we've talked about all this stuff before, Justin. I just think that, I find it highly unlikely. Also, just to put in perspective, all right, on a commercial level, Select is probably the biggest licensee outside of merchandise for the AFL.
Yeah, look, I'm not sure what they're doing in terms of Band-Aids and mugs in the supermarkets and stuff like that.
There's no way Band-Aids and mugs are doing 20 million.
I don't know. I don't know. Like Chemist Warehouse, there's got to be big
Either way,
volume.
they'd be big.
All I know is that
Yeah, I don't think the AFL will
over the long
sacrifice
term,
enough.
let's talk about over the 30 years, lots of products that the AFL have been licensed to or types of product categories have come and gone. Because normally there's phases and the phases hold for 5 or 6 years or whatever it is and they disappear.
Yeah.
The longevity of cards, I would say, is something very unique in the context of licensing that's been able to hold on over a 3-decade period.
Agree.
Including the era of the late 90s, early 2000s, the internet boom, the boom of personal computers, the increase in technology, all these
And
sorts
I
of
think I
things.
just need
So,
to also, just for people perhaps newer to the community and perhaps don't understand licensing, the amount of money the AFL take from Select off the top line is phenomenal. It's literally 30% of RRP. So if you're doing flashlights or deck chairs or cups or band-aids or whatever, you pay them 30% of effectively the retail
yeah, the
price
retail price. Right.
before you've even sold a product.
Yeah.
So there is huge commitments and huge amounts of money, and that's why you don't see licensed product being sold for long amounts of time because it's such a huge percentage of the profit. So we talk about the prices going up in day-to-day stuff with inflation.
Yeah.
Removing 30% off the top of any sales price, paying for a license, is a huge amount of money. No, not a flashlight, Gribs.
Groups, we know you're into the mag lights though,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
we're all about that.
yeah.
Bernie says if they did, AFL would become like the NBA, worth nothing unless you get the right card.
Yeah.
Yeah, and what it would do is it would take away a lot of that team collecting and broader collecting and turn it into a single targeting of just individual players. And I think there's a lot of downside to it. I'm not sure that I see the upside. You know, if maybe there's financial upside that they would assess
the
that
AFL.
for the
Sure,
AFL,
yeah.
yeah. But
The
again,
market's just so
but is
small.
that short term? And is it like
Yeah.
have they got to view it in a way? And I don't want to keep really talking about this, but they gonna does the AFL needs to look at it with a much more critical thought process of, okay, well, if these people, if we gave the license to someone else for a lot of more short term money,
Does it kill
would
a
they
long time?
then kill an entire category within 2 or 3 years, which is a category that's actually already lasted 30 years?
Yeah.
And over the term, over that long term and the duration that it's actually been around and the duration it could be around for in the future, is it really the smart move commercially to just go and take some extra money because some international people are throwing it on the table?
Sure.
And I dare say these would be the conversations that take place in the offices at AFL HQ and Select HQ and
Yep.
and the third parties that are involved in it as well. So
Agree.
definitely a really interesting conversation.
But it's also,
Nothing so much new.
but we're
It's
speculating.
it's
So hard.
rehashed
It's so
over and
hard to
over.
know. Yeah.
I don't see a reason why there would be change. I don't expect any change. If change is in the wind, well, we'll all find out about it at some point in time.
Yep.
But I definitely don't see it.
But you can confirm right at this second, you have not sold Select.
I have not sold Select, and unfortunately, contrary to popular belief, I don't own it to be able to sell it in the first place.
Sure, sure.
But you know what Oren Flam has just brought to the comments?
I
He
hope
says,
it's not poker
it
tips.
seems like the value of being an SCC member is getting more valuable every year.
good point,
How
Flam.
many of them are sneaker flippers? Okay, so the first thing is, I'd like to point out that Oren, grammatically not amazing, he used value and valuable in the same sentence.
Okay.
So Oren,
move
a
on.
tip for the future. Yep.
Yep.
But okay, the sneaker flipper thing. I think people think it's much more prevalent than what it really is. I think both in the context of the SEC and people, the amount of accounts people think sneaker flippers, but what we'll like to refer them to as is external flippers. So
External, not internal.
that's right.
Yeah.
People who are taking money out of the hobby, not turning something over and re-spending and recirculating the money in the hobby, which is a big difference between them.
Agree.
I don't think it's that many. I think it would be more than 10, but probably less than 50 account holders within the SCC. Maybe a few more, you think?
I think it lands somewhere between 50 and 100.
Okay, so you think it's 50 to 100.
And I
We'll
make
call
that
50, yeah.
I make that judgment call because I look at some of the accounts on eBay.
Yeah.
And you can see they've got
SCC accounts.
they've got
Good call.
shoes, they've got boxes, they've
Yeah.
got, you know, whatever, all
Yeah.
the standard flipper stuff, coins, you know, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And yeah, it feels like probably somewhere in between 50 and 70.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Just quickly before we finish off with brilliance.
Hang on, but let's talk the value for SEC. Flame made a really good point.
Incredible.
And I hope that this is a trend. They started it with Supremacy Rookie. You know, really, they could have given one box of Brilliance to SEC members and put the rest public sale, but instead Select have gone, look, we'll take a little bit less money, make sure qualified collectors are getting 2 boxes.
Yeah.
Yes, I know there's going to be people putting their hands in the air going, I'm not SEC. I
As
want
an
to be part
SEC
of it.
member, it's amazing. As a non-SEC member,
It would be
people are
brutal.
angry.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
it'd be brutal.
imagine the backlash that they have to deal with at all levels as
Of
well.
course,
Like,
of
it's
course.
brutal.
But I hope that moving forward, and for people that aren't familiar with SEC, you pay a membership fee. Applications open at the end of the year. That's limited to 1,000 people. Generally, sort of 50 to 100 get churned every year through misuse, bots, multi-ordering, breaking the rules, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then generally 50 to 100 new people get applied or approved every year. So I certainly recommend to anyone that is curious about SEC, read up about it on the Select website, but make sure when those announcements come at the end of the year that you go through the application process.
Yeah.
It's the best $99 you'll ever spend.
Absolutely. All right. So to finish off brilliance before we move on to the next thing,
Sure.
how much do you think has been opened?
87.3%.
So interesting. We didn't ask each other this before,
We
but I was going to say
deliberately-
85%. I think it's at 85%.
It's
I think
huge.
I think there's 10 to 15% left unopened.
Which is about 250, 300 boxes.
Yeah, that's right. It's in the hands of breakers. It's in the hands of people holding boxes. It's in the hands of collectors who just collect the sealed boxes, and
Yep.
some of it won't be opened. I think probably another 5% will get opened over the course of the next 2 or 3 weeks.
Yep.
And then I think you'll see the remaining 10% trickle out in the years to come.
And
But you'll never really see it breaking anymore. It's all over.
Yeah, and the couple of data points that I use for that is, one, how hard it is for us to acquire boxes and the boxes that we hold. We obviously bought up lots and lots very early, and lots of people were reaching out. Now it is very thin.
Yeah.
And then the amount of listings on eBay that actually have boxes for sale,
Yeah.
which is very small. There's like 10 to 15.
Flam, don't doubt us. I'm sure the last time we talked about Optimum, we would have said at that point in time we expected 75 to 80% would have been opened. So the packets that are coming out at the moment randomly would be accounted for in that remaining 20%.
Yes.
But good attempt to railroad us.
But yeah, as a high amount, and there isn't a lot left.
Yeah.
Where do you want to go now?
All right. So there's been a couple of comments here.
No, before we get to those.
Yeah.
Do we want to talk about the biggest travesty in not only trading cards, but also just footy in general?
Is that Dusty not playing for Richmond anymore?
He's playing his 300th in 2 weeks.
Oh, right.
Players getting suspended, that means predictors cannot win
the
anymore.
Predictors. Huh?
The outcry, Adam.
You know what's crazy? I just like...
It's never happened before.
I'm trying to figure out what's happened that's different to how predictors work this year versus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like the last
Every
6
year?
or 7 years.
Yeah.
But on a serious note, obviously there's been the addition of Rising Star. And it's not so much the Brownlow thing that's brought this to the fore.
What about the Rising Star?
It's the Rising Star thing now. So people have gravitated towards, okay, Rising Stars have now been around for 2 years. We're seeing the impact of what takes place during a season, whether player performance, injuries, suspensions, and how that starts to impact the market for these. We're seeing the optics and it being magnified right now because it's not just based on a bunch of players that can win a Brownlow. Now people are very focused on the Rising Star side. And I'm assuming Coleman players as well, they're ruled out once they get suspended too. They're not. You can still win the Coleman medal.
And Carlton just wins that every year.
Yeah, okay. So, yes, nothing new in terms of
But it's a travesty.
It's a travesty.
It's a travesty,
nothing
Adam.
new there. Love it. I don't know about everyone else, but the thrill of having predictors in Series 1 and Series 1.5 releases at the start of the year that then fluctuate throughout a season based on a number of different factors such as disqualification, performance, injuries, etc., is one of the best parts of the hobby. And it's one of the best things about these $3, $4 packets now of cards that, or whatever, or Series 1.5 cards, and what's going to happen. And, I love the idea that people went all in on some stuff, and then it's turned to shit, and now they're switching it, and they're going all in on something else. You know what I mean? Like, unfortunately, my whole set got stolen, so I didn't even have a St Kilda Rising Star anymore. But I certainly,
They're not winning anyway,
I'm not rushing out to go pay now $100 for a St Kilda Rising Star, which is the guy who got tackled by the bloke who's now rubbed out for the Rising Star.
But do you think I'm going to be asking you a very direct question?
If it was Machedo's year, I would be doing it for sure.
But hang on. Should we ban speculation in the hobby?
Oh, that would be.
No, but would that solve it?
That would solve it.
Yeah.
It would give one less reason for people to be unhappy at something. But no, it's. I love it. I don't know. This is all. It's part of it. It's part of it.
And look, it's
don't play the game if you don't like the things that can happen.
yeah. And look, obviously, I feel terrible for West Coast supporters. Butters had to take a day off work in morning. It's shit house. You've bought a predictor. You think it's going to win, even though in round 14 nothing's a lock. But it happens. I mean,
Josh Stokes
I bought a Dacos last year.
Stokes says the issue is that there is no mention of the best, young, and fairest for the Rising Star. The Brownlow is the best and fairest. So hold on a second. That's a debate that you need to go and have with the AFL.
But you own the AFL too, don't you?
Yeah, but Select and the card companies, they don't get to choose whether the player's going to be valid to win the Rising Star or not.
Yep.
That's a gripe you've got to have with the AFL.
Yep.
Because I'm sure if the AFL ends up awarding it to Harley Reid even after he was suspended, I'm pretty sure Select's going to be making the Harley Reid winner cards.
Josh, if you go and have a look, I think at the rules for Rising Star, it says you're not eligible if you are suspended. Anyway, so yeah, you can Google
the
it.
AFLPA award.
Yep.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, you've heard it here first. George Kados has put a suggestion to Grant Copley and Select. Bring out an AFLPA award predictor card in the future.
Isn't that just the same as the Brownlow winner?
Well, no, because it doesn't matter if you get suspended. You're still eligible.
So what are we going to do, a coach's award predictor too?
But imagine that you end up the Brownlow winner and the AFLPA winner are two different players just due to a suspension. So imagine the player that got suspended had the same amount of votes and would have been the leading vote getter when they won the AFL Players Association one.
So what you're saying is not less predictors,
more
predictors.
Bring on the predicting.
Look, it's tough. If you don't want to get involved, don't buy them. If you do want to get involved, buy them. Either way, play on.
Yeah.
Harley Reid's a thug.
Yeah, Harley Reid.
He's a thug.
He unfortunately got frustrated.
Yeah.
Because arguably the greatest future player of all time, Marcus Windhager, put him to absolute shame. Kept him to 3 possessions, changed the whole outlook of the game, and started the charge for St Kilda's 2024 Premiership Cup.
Oh, all right.
Let's talk about something else.
Yes. Please.
I know what people want to talk about.
What do you want to talk about?
I've seen several comments. They're like, boys, how you going and what's coming?
Yeah.
What is cooking?
Yeah.
There's been a few rumours.
There's been a few photos.
Let's talk about the non-exclusive photos we had and the rumours surrounding them, please.
Which one?
The one that may have appeared 11 or so months ago on Jason Ackermanis' Instagram. I never claimed it as an exclusive. All I did was post up a photo.
Yep. So just to give some context, if people are wondering what the hell we're talking about, there were some rumours going around last year that Mark Rasciuto had signed a Brownlow medal booklet, which got obviously dropped onto our desk, not the booklet, the rumour. We certainly, floated it on Card Authority. We looked into it. Actually, Shane Penrose, to give him credit, was one of the first people to talk about it. And we asked and we confirmed that on Card Authority last year. I can't remember what episode it was, that there was a Brownlow celebration release coming. As you mentioned, Jenks, your exclusively stolen photo off Instagram of Jason Ackermanis signing a Brownlow booklet. It looks like, exclusively I can announce here, Jenks, that you did steal it from Instagram.
I can exclusively announce it. I exclusively stole it.
Yeah.
But didn't even go to the extent of stealing it exclusively directly from Instagram.
Yep.
I took it off another internet website first.
Perfect.
But they stole it off there.
Yeah. So look, all we know is that there seems to be multiple Brownlow medalists that have been signing these cards.
Yes.
It's been in the works now for 12 months, I imagine. There is a few cards being signed. It's definitely not part of Supremacy. I've seen a few people suggesting that this is a standalone release.
Standalone release.
It is coming soon. We've got a picture up on Card Authority of the booklet. They look beautiful. They look clean. They are not part of Supremacy.
Lots of conversation around who will be represented.
I imagine Brownlow Medalo winners.
What about players that may have passed away? Ones that are super real, like quite old. Other players that may have past Brownlow medalists that have issues with the AFL and a variety of different things.
We could all
So
speculate
your guess
that.
is as good as ours. All I know is if we put it down to like pure weight of numbers, pretty sure St Kilda Football Club has the most former Brownlow medalists.
You know who won't be on a Brownlow booklet?
Who?
Joe Watson.
Well, no,
Because
he
Trent Cotchin will be
Nah,
on
but
one.
that's the thing. Imagine Watson got one. How good would that be?
But he didn't win a Brownlow.
Imagine he got one just so Select could contact every person and say, sorry, we need to send that back.
Take
to
it
us."
back off them a couple of months later. Oh, that's good.
Brutal.
That's good. So look, honestly, exclusively, we don't really know any more information than we confirmed 6 months ago on the show. The release is coming. My guess is it's probably coming sooner rather than later because of what we're going to talk about in a second. I can't imagine it's going to be later in the year. If I had to have a guess, I would say soon, like in the next 6 months.
Yeah, I would say sometime between now and the 31st of December, we're going to see that release amongst other releases as well.
Yep.
But look, the photo leaks are incredible. Where people have zoomed in, de-pixelated or unpixelated, whatever the correct terminology is,
It's time for Acker to give his bank details.
to read some of the writing. Some of us have stolen his identity several times over now due to all the bank details and his signature, of course. But look, it looks really interesting.
Looks fun.
It looks very exciting. If this is what, the conversations around and what's being talked about at an unofficial level by collectors and people in the hobby, if even 20% of what is being talked about comes to fruition and is the truth, wowie, what a release, and adding it into what we already know is going to be a
Acker 50 cents.
massive, yeah.
You're a good man, Paul.
That's very good, Paul. I like that. So,
But look, let me make a speculation. If Acker has signed one, and Rue has signed one, there's no real logical connection to them in time frame or team.
yeah.
So my assumption would be that it's probably going to be past Brownlow.
There was another one that people said.
there was one more, but we can't talk about that one.
I don't know what it was. I can't even remember what it was.
Anyway.
Someone said something.
Yeah. But there's certainly a few leaks
Yeah.
and links that say that it's probably going to be previous.
Richo, you heard it here first. He's put it in caps, guys, which means he is asserting he wants everyone to hear the answer.
It is not part of Supremacy.
Yeah, he wants everyone to know the answer. He asked the question, did you guys say it's not part of Supremacy? We are saying definitively here, we don't care what you guys have heard from your other sources or other places.
They're wrong.
They are wrong. It's not part of Supremacy. This is a standalone release. We don't think there's going to be any other small 35-point cards coming with it or anything like that. Our expectation is think of it like something specialized, like a Brilliance, like a Supremacy Rookie, like a Gem type of thing.
But none of those
where
things.
it is a super limited release. It is a standalone release. It is dedicated to previous Brownlow medal winners. And wow, if you're a Brownlow booklet master set collector that's done the last 6 or 7 years and you're going to need these ones moving forward, get a second job, third job, maybe even a fourth.
Why do you
and
try me
AJ,
like that?
I'm looking at you because you are one of those guys. But as someone who hasn't had their team win one in recent years, I look forward to going back and hopefully getting Robert Harvey, Tony Lockett, Baldock,
Do you reckon they'll all be there?
Stewart, Ross Smith. It's just endless.
I mean, you got to celebrate that St Kilda success from 70 years ago.
Yeah. Steve Massia.
Yeah.
Still nothing on a Series 2 speculation. No Series 2, but Supremacy and this Brownlow set. They then enhanced the Supremacy Rookie set by adding the DPS. That's really interesting.
That's a new one.
Richo says, "Is Supremacy still coming? Maybe it's called Supremacy Brownlow Edition." All right, here we go. I'm gonna give you two exclusives right now. I'm gonna definitively say there is no connection whatsoever between the Brownlow release and Supremacy, except that they're going to come out in the same calendar year.
So Grip said Baldock didn't even win a Brownlow.
Fuck. Just a premiership. That's one less that I need to get then. No, I definitely, there's no connection to Supremacy as far as we're concerned, but at an unofficial level, a semi-official level, and everything except a fully official level, that it's not part of Supremacy. There is a standalone release that's been in the works for over 12 months to celebrate previous Brownlow winners. Is it part of the 100-year, 150-year, whatever it is? I don't even know. Yeah. I don't know if we've passed that or we haven't got to it yet. But there's a booklet release coming out. But also what's coming out in 2024, as we've seen more leaks of, is
Supremacy! So yes, we did see some photos, and thank you to a couple of people that sent us photos of the signing session at Port Adelaide. Now, I know a few people tried to sort of leak it out a few weeks earlier. We were asked not to post them, so we didn't. And we held off for a couple of weeks, and then obviously we posted them exclusively.
Exclusively without them being exclusive.
And what was in those photos was Connor Rosé signing Supremacy patch booklet, Superstar patch booklet.
And who's the other bloke?
There was Jason Horn-Francis signing Franchise Futures.
Yeah.
And also Georgiades.
On the Franchise Futures?
Yep, there was another photo of him signing.
That photo? I don't know if we ever actually released that photo.
Well, that photo's around.
Is it?
Yeah.
Are you sure it's not the one that you're thinking that we have that we never put out?
No, that's fine.
Okay.
That got released.
Okay,
yep.
cool.
So
just making sure. I don't want to ruin a leather relationship with a footy player like you made me do to Sheasel.
You fucked him over.
Yeah.
No. So they were sent to us, and thank you to the unnamed person, the spy, our South Australian correspondent that sent that to us. He did want to remain nameless, so
yeah,
he's on the watch list though.
Absolutely. But yes, get excited. Supremacy.
Yep.
Booklet.
It's the best.
It's the best.
It's the best.
We've talked about it all the way back in 2019.
Yep.
When we started this podcast before Supremacy, the previous Supremacy even came out, we talked about how 2019 was the pinnacle of cards released up until that point, and we looked forward to a future Supremacy. The second Supremacy came out. It did not disappoint. It was a monster. They upgraded the set from the previous time around with the extra... the quad double Brownlow, St Kilda's the greatest booklet, double, triple, Robert Harvey with his own 14 Brownlow medals.
They added the reds, they did all sorts of things.
So what are they going to do this time around? Well, we haven't seen any photos outside of the booklets and the Franchise Future SIGs.
I've seen a couple of others.
But I would assume it's going to be similarly
themed.
To what we've seen previously.
Stephen Goodwin made a comment. Do you think there's going to be like 35 and 75 variations of Franchise Futures? I don't know, but
that's coming purely off the image where someone tried to count how many there were on the table. Someone counted 35. The only problem is
in another photo there's a box of cards
behind where the photo was taken.
Yeah.
Was a coffee table.
Yeah,
and on the coffee table was more.
So look, I think it's really hard to assume. None of us have that information.
SEC members get 2 boxes. You hope.
So
last time it was 1, right?
No, it was 2.
Last Supremacy 2021.
2 and 1.
Was last Supremacy in 21 or
21?
21.
Yeah, you got 2 and then 1, I think.
It was 2 and 1. Mm-hmm. Okay, I like it.
Can you confirm, Janks? Will there be a 20 case limit this time, like Supremacy 19?
No, there will not be a 20 case limit like there was in Supremacy.
Can you imagine that? Just to put that in perspective for people that are new to the hobby, 2019, $500 a box. 6 boxes a case.
20 case
20 case limit.
You could buy 20 cases per person
and it didn't sell out.
Didn't sell out for a week. I went back. I opened some boxes and I went back and bought more 3 days later.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Have you still got that 20 cases?
Yeah, absolutely. I've already got 20 cases of the next one.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah. So yeah, no 20. There certainly won't be a 20 case limit for everyone. People should expect. Obviously, we'll have 200, 300 cases here in this office
At
for
least.
sure, at least.
Yeah.
SEC to be rewarded once again. If you're not
Katrina's
in the
asking for
SEC,
30 cases if you
yeah,
got
there you go.
No
No
worries,
worries,
Cobb.
Cobb.
Yep.
If you're not an SEC member, well, tough shit. No,
That's harsh.
it's unfortunate, but history seems to show over the last couple of years.
General
Get on
sale.
board at the right time when SEC gets renewed as well.
Yep.
Get on board at a general sale for the releases up until that point. Get your references in order for your SEC.
But look, let's just straighten up for a second. And look, we're obviously having a little bit of fun because no one knows any information. We only go by the information that we get leaked to us. Select certainly don't brief this information any sooner than a week before release. And I know we do get information a week before release for media purposes sometimes. But all I'll say is people trying to buy boxes, don't stress, don't freak out about it. There has been a trend in the last 12 months. Anyone that's wanted a box and jumped on at general sale has been able to buy a box. So don't stress. It will be fine. There will be plenty around. It was a big release last time. I think it was up for a couple of minutes last time.
And that was at the peak of external flippers being in market as well.
Yeah. So I think it'll be fine. It'll be fun. But I think we've got some really fun things coming ahead of us.
Yeah.
Series 2, we don't know anything about yet.
Yeah.
My guess is that is going to come before Supremacy. So potentially we've got a really big 6 months ahead of us. Do
you think a world exists where they don't do a Series 2? I don't think so. And I don't think that would be a good move, to be honest. I think Series 2 is a staple thing. Series 1 and Series 2 are must-haves.
I think I posed a question to you about 6 months ago, and we were spitballing.
Yeah.
And I said, how would it look if a Series 2 release was effectively just DPSs? Do you remember me asking you that? I asked on air.
On air.
Yeah.
Look, I said before, my memory's not that good.
And I could see a world where perhaps something like that is done in a jam-packed release, but I just don't see any world.
So you get a pack of cards that's got 10 cards and they're all DPSs?
Well, it could be like a Brilliance or a Supremacy Rookie style, where you might get like a copper, a gold, and a platinum or something like that. Is there a world where with such high premium releases coming out and strong releases that we're talking about?
Says that's when they would move the DPSs to a Supremacy Rookie. Justin Cranston says optimum or dominance. Look, I think it's fair to say the optimum.
I just don't think that Supremacy Rookie they might combine that with Supremacy to reduce a release.
I didn't even consider that. Anyone who's been asking about releases, I've been spruiking. Well, I still think there's 4 releases.
I just think that they've worked so hard to get DPSs into a 3-tier system that have been super popular the last couple of years. Stopping that would seem like a waste of hard work. But the other stuff with Series 2, well, do we need number to 40 hits?
Well, so Graham Price has just put something interesting. He says, I think select like metal cards, all Australians, etc.
Oh, I forgot about the All Australians. Good call, Graham.
I don't know. To me, Series 2 is something.
You're right. They're not going to get rid of it.
It needs to exist. So Chris King, love this comment. This really gives me an opportunity here.
Yeah.
He says, what's Series 2? It's my first year collecting. So Series 2 is supposed to be the official hobby-targeted release. And what we're talking about here is a bit outdated now, but traditionally there used to be 2 releases a year. Series 1, which was your cheap mass market $3 a product.
Footy Stars.
Yeah, Footy Star, which a la Footy Stars. And then there was a Series 2 product, which was a hobby-targeted. It was for hobby stores, card stores, and online and resellers. It wasn't available to the mass market, and it wasn't targeted at kids, so to speak. It was higher end. It contained signatures. It could have patches, redemptions, and a variety of other short print cards.
Yeah. It was what a premium release was back in the day, where there just weren't premium releases.
Matty Allen says honours. No, sorry. Let me just dismantle that little bit of conversation going on. I don't think there will be another Optimum. I don't think there will be another Legacy. I don't think there'll be another Dominance. And I certainly don't think there'll be another Honours. Selectors demonstrated over the years, Series 2 normally get done in 2s. And even if it's not the first time around, they bring it back for its second incarnation. Excuse me. But beyond that,
You mean like how they did Bruins 3 times?
That seems to be done. Series 2. Note, I said Series 2 very, very clearly. So yes, they've obviously, with other things like Prestige, Brilliance, Supremacy, etc., they've done more of them. Series 2, I like the idea that there's only 2 of them. If Legacy was to come out again, I'd be extremely disappointed. I'd probably be extremely disappointed if any of those brands were to be reused. And I think goes back to the conversation at the start of the podcast about dilution. I don't like brand or sub-brand dilution, and I think that's where it takes place. When you use the same name or sub-brand and product
Okay.
name over and over, it becomes stale.
Series 2 keep the Luminous theme going. I hope not. I hope Luminous is something they keep with Footy Stars and they build on it. Luminous was a game changer, especially for the retail product, but also made the hobby product just stacked.
Stevie Goodwin, Select should do a one card packet of O1s. We've talked about it 10,000 times over.
Not gonna
I
happen.
do not agree with that opinion.
Me either.
Jeffries does not agree with that opinion. And I'm going to go out on a limb here, Steve, and say the general consensus in the market does not agree with one of ones for AFL cards.
No. Well, I think he might be referring to all the previous O1 cards as well.
Yeah. Okay.
Which
I got you.
which I don't
Okay,
really want to
so
see them
Yeah,
either.
okay. The O1s, not the short print. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, imagine Steve Goodwin, if they released all the O1 cards from pre-2018, then everyone who has O2 cards, like myself included, which were considered O1s basically because everyone knows the O1s don't exist because they're in Select's lockers, vault, whatever you want to call it.
Your shirt.
It's going to actually cause a massive ripple effect through the market and devalue a shitload of cards for a lot of people in their collections.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So I don't support it. Yeah.
Okay. So we've covered the 2 releases that we have sitting in the back of the warehouse, the
Yes.
Brownlow and the Supremacy.
Yes.
Anything else exclusively you want to announce?
I would like to exclusively announce that not much that I announce is exclusive. There's a lot of hearsay, a lot of speculation, and then sometimes we come up with the goods.
That's true.
Yeah.
All right, we've had a fair bit of fun tonight, and obviously sometimes you just need to stray off the tracks, which is what we've done. But look, it's been a really, really good month. The market is healthy. The hobby is healthy. People are buying, selling, trading, getting involved in all aspects of cards. Even if 50% of what was speculated on tonight is coming this year, there is a big year ahead in trading cards.
Absolutely.
Lots of fun, lots of collecting, some big fun releases. I mean, we've seen the photos. Those cards are out there. So those releases are coming. Everyone should be excited. It's a good time to be involved in trading cards.
I'll just end with Richo. That's a cool idea. I like it. I'm not going to read out the comment, but that would be pretty crazy. Again, just to reiterate what AJ said, to me, this has been the biggest start of a year to AFL cards. Footy Stars was massive, the whole Luminous thing. Now to come out with Brilliance, which has been huge and really well received, I feel like people seem to be as excited, if not more, than what I have seen them over the last few years about the outlook of the calendar year of 2024 in AFL cards. The leaks are causing a stir of excitement, and I love it. And I think we're going to see that continue to translate throughout the year. Once again, like we are living and being part of a hobby and a time where it may not always be like this in terms of the quality of what we're getting, and especially at the price point that we're able to purchase it for at retail and stuff like that. So, take advantage of the opportunities to be collecting whilst there's some amazing cards around. Otherwise, you could get left behind, and you don't want to sit there dwelling in the future of, wow, can't believe that $400 card is now a $1,200 card and I can't even get one myself. So just keep that in mind.
Yep.
Question the naysayers. Keep the positivity up. Let's fucking go!
All right, on that note, at least we didn't get some St Kilda back-to-back flag plug in there. But thank you, everyone. Thanks for your comments. Thanks for your questions. Jenks, thank you as always.
Thank you.
We will be back in a couple of weeks with another card authority. Get involved in your groups. Get involved with the breaks. Get involved in trading. It's a good time to be in cards.
Get around it.
Get around it.
All right, thanks, guys. Thanks so much, everyone, for tuning in. Thanks for the questions tonight. I'm actually going to go back through and have another look afterwards because there's a few that we missed. But we really appreciate the commentary. We appreciate the support. And onwards and upwards. Can't wait for the next release. Let's do it.
Ciao.